Hey guys, Lastbrohican here, and
Luxbu.
for this week's episode of Let's Discuss, me and Luxbu are going head-to-head, bare-knuckle boxing. Not actually, though, but we are going to do a little...
If it comes down to that, we'll do it.
We'll have to. I mean, we'll record that too, but it's going to be a little bit of a 1v1 with two very... favorable, well-liked game series. Luxbu, would you do me the honors?
Yeah, basically we've been talking about the difference between particularly Mass Effect 3 and Skyrim, and in terms of linearity in the storyline and all that. But, you know, we can kind of take it back a little further and go back two more games to the Elder Scrolls Morrowind, and talk about those last three games in the series, as well as Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. And my argument is that Mass Effect 3 is a completely unlinear game and actually has more depth in the storyline in terms of the quests that you complete, as opposed to Skyrim and that.
And I'm retorting saying that the Elder Scrolls anthology in general just has way more depth and is much less linear than Mass Effect, which I found to be a completely linear game. So,
which I don't understand at all. I think that is so dumbfounding to me that you think that Mass Effect is a linear game. It makes absolutely no sense to me.
And he wanted me to go on record saying that, and I decided I was going to prove him wrong and show him that I was willing to say that Mass Effect is a linear game. Games, plural.
All of them.
All of them are linear.
Never mind how all three are actually connected in any way. Because, you know, I've never been able to load an Argonian from Elder Scrolls Morrowind into Oblivion. That's never been able to happen.
Okay. So before we get too irrelevant too quick here, we will first talk about...
Completely relevant.
That was not at all relevant. Okay, so I know in our preliminary discussions we were talking about the linearity between gameplay and actual quest lines. Now, do you want to tee off the viewers with what you had in mind for Mass Effect?
In Mass Effect, why the game is not linear at all is, like I was just saying, like, you can play Mass Effect and then you can play Mass Effect 2, and even in that game you can load your character into that and then Mass Effect 2 into Mass Effect 3. Everything that you do in Mass Effect affects your ultimate end game, and it's such an amazing playthrough because based off of whatever kind of character you make, you might want to you usually have a choice between who you want to keep and who you want to let go. If you even choose to keep anybody, you can try and save everybody, but you can't. And ultimately, a huge thing of politics and sometimes even racial diversity plays a role in the game. Is some races are more favorable than others, just into the overall theme of the game, but I won't get into that. But you might want to keep some characters on your squad as opposed to others because of the kind of character you're playing as, and having the strength in your squad because you chose to save Gareth over, I don't know, Ashley Williams. I'm just throwing some random names out there. I haven't played the game in a little bit of time now. But that's why the game is not linear, because literally every quest you get, you have free reign, especially in Mass Effect 3. You have free reign on any planet you want to travel to. You get a bunch of side quests. There's a bunch of side missions and side storylines that you can choose to pursue or not to pursue. Ashley Williams, I'm all about Fodet. But yeah, I visited her in the hospital frequently, and she didn't do shit for me. I'm just kidding. But there was but what I'm saying is there's a lot you can do in the game that you don't have to do. You can do it just to immerse yourself more into the storyline. But ultimately, every decision you make will make or break how you finish your final mission when you choose to destroy the Reapers, when you finally get there.
Okay, so you brought up a lot of points in that, so allow me to do my best to kind of start from the beginning. So you mentioned that you can load the same character in from the first to the second to the third, correct?
That's even optional.
That's optional, but you still said that's a thing to do, correct?
Yeah.
So Well,
if you'd like, I can iterate that a little bit. I can expand on that just a tad.
I get what you're saying, and I mean, yes,
like
Elder
where
Scrolls
you start off is going to be different than where you start off if you make just a new character in general.
I can see that.
The story might be different. Some characters might be there that ultimately won't be there for another new save. Anyway, go on.
I can see that. I mean, and I'm sure that does make a good thing for a story to go on, and Elder Scrolls has nothing like that. But that's where Elder Scrolls still shows its difference, and I think its superiority in that, yeah, maybe you have to make a new character, but that's part of writing your own story and starting a new thing. Yeah, it's not the same white guy throughout 3 games. It can be a whole host of different races that you can choose to be. You don't have to be...
You can make a black guy too. I mean, you can change all the characters. You can make an Asian dude if you want.
Oh my
gosh. Any race.
So it could just be some dude. It's still the same guy. He still probably has the same voice acting. He still probably has to do all the same shit. But that is not... Hey. I was very nice and let you talk for 5 minutes. You can let me talk for the next at least 3, kind sir.
All right. You're right.
So, anyways, as I was saying, and that's where Skyrim, Oblivion, and Morrowind all just totally write their own novels. Is that, yeah, you know what? You don't get the same guide that you had from the last game, but you get to make a completely new story. You don't have to, quote-unquote, kill off the last dragon in Skyrim. You don't have to find the last blood heir for Uriel Septim in Oblivion. You don't have to kill... Oh my god, what's the dude's name in Morrowind?
Daggerthur.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No, I shouldn't have been in that, by the way.
Yeah,
I didn't know shit about Elder Scrolls. Shouldn't have been there. I don't know shit about that game.
He shouldn't have said anything, but he helped me out right there. So you don't have to do any of that. Whereas in Mass Effect, you do have to do any of those to really have some sort of mission accomplished at the end. You can't progress throughout the game without going to that end goal. In any of the Elder Scrolls, you don't have to do the main quest. As soon as you start off, you can be whoever you want to be. You can be some dude that just does Fighter Guilds quests, and then after that, you can just make another character and then do something else. You can be a mage, you can be an assassin, you can be a thief, and then you can do the main quest if you want to. Or you could just do all the other DLC stuff that's offered. I mean, there's so much more to it, and I just think that that's where it totally blows Mass Effect out of the water. Yeah, you can go to different planets in Mass Effect, but it's not like it's a completely open world traversing terrain that you can look at. It's like going from one house in Elder Scrolls to another house in Elder Scrolls. Yeah, they're completely different houses, but at the end of the day, there's only a finite area you can move in.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I agree in some senses that a game might have more depth to it in your own, the way you process playing a game, in the sense that it's an open world and you can literally give your own character a story, and you can, like, if you wanted to build your own hut out in the middle of nowhere and hunt fish and eat bear for the rest of your life, like, you can do that in Skyrim. You can't do that in Mass Effect. That's where you're right. But in the sense, yeah, you can create different classes, different races, but in Mass Effect, you're not creating the same guy. There are still very different skill trees that you can make, that you can still level, and on top of that, you also have all the people that I was talking about that you can save. You can level them up as well, so you can make them stronger in some areas where you might be weaker. That gives your ultimate story, your ultimate character depth, because you have these bodyguards, these different companions, these different parties. It might be a new story each and every time, but ultimately, when you get a quest, yeah, you might not need to complete it when you're first given it. You don't even need to do that in Mass Effect. But I see what you're saying in the sense that if you get all these quests, you can literally just go explore anyway. You can do that in Mass Effect to an extent, but you're still very limited in terms of what planets you go on, so I see what you're saying on that. But ultimately, I don't think that really distinguishes Mass Effect as being a linear game and Skyrim being a completely depth-shul game. Is that even a word? Can we Google that?
A completely deep game? It's just deep?
Deeply immersed.
Bro, it's so deep.
But ultimately, in Skyrim, in Elder Scrolls, in Skyrim, Oblivion, or Morrowind, you do have an end goal. It's just you have so much more that you can do that kind of spreads out your timeline as opposed to how you complete it. I mean, in Morrowind, I don't think I actually ever beat that game. I spent way more time exploring everything than I did beating it. I think I beat it once just to do it, and I may have even cheated because I had no interest in it. Well, I shouldn't say I had no interest. The game itself was more interesting to me than completing the main storyline. Like,
it takes a lot of commitment.
It takes a lot of commitment, and it just how immersive Morrowind was at its time. I didn't care. I just wanted to learn everything about that game. So, but going back on the different classes, like, yeah, you can make like a Kaji assassin, or you can make like a high elf mage. Like, you can do that too in Mass Effect. You can make like a what are the classes nowadays? I'm gonna look it up real fast. It's like there's technically three different. There's like a biotic, there's a technical, and then there's basically your average fighter. And
well,
you don't have what's that?
These are skills, right? These aren't classes. These are skills, correct?
They're classes.
Okay.
You're essentially a class. Mass Effect. Yeah, you've got biotic. You have, and then in every like.
You're good.
Okay, so I see where you're talking about different classes, and contrary to popular belief, Mass Effect, well, probably not popular belief, but Mass Effect also has its own classes. They have got biotic, tech, and combat classes, and each with their own individual talents that you can upgrade. So you can be, essentially like Elder Scrolls, you can be, you can go into destruction magic, you can go into alteration magic, conjuration magic. You can do that with biotic. Technology is kind of like the stealthy kind of thing where you can sneak and do critical strikes and all that. So I mean, the classes are all still there, but you can also upgrade your party members to give you those abilities that you otherwise don't have, and that's also just a great addition to the depth of the game. On top of the storyline that it has, it's so good.
Okay. Well, first, I'll let you talk about your storyline in a second, but I mean, just to say, biotic, technical, and combat are the equivalency to the Elder Scrolls skill system. The talent trees is like painting a very wide brush over the true depthness of what the Elder Scrolls brings to the table with how you can create a character. You're not confined to three classes. The world is your oyster in terms of who you can be and what you want to be. And I mean, while I don't necessarily agree with how Elder Scrolls Skyrim did it, you can be everything in that game. But in Morrowind and Oblivion, you can choose to be like the craziest thing ever. Like, I was a battle mage. I was a guy wearing full plate armor with a warhammer that could just turn you to dust with my destruction. And like, is there really that kind of molding in Mass Effect? Can you do other classes?
Yeah, you can. You can mesh classes. You don't have to be one or the other. I mean, well, what I should say is if I choose to go combat, or I choose to go biotic, or I choose to go tech, you still have some things that will overlay over all three. So I mean, I can still be like a combat heavy tech or a combat heavy biotic, even though biotic's kind of like the mage. Like, I can be like a biotic. I mean, I can't mix and match like Skyrim can, but honestly, like, do you really want to mix and match in Skyrim? Like, otherwise you have just an ultimately weak character. I mean, unless
what?
I tried nine ways to Tuesday on how to make an effective early game dark elf warrior that is really good at both destruction magic and protective magic, but good at being destruction, and then good at having a shield and a sword, or being good at with a two-handed weapon and destruction magic. And there's just really no point into going into both branches. Like, you're gonna end up focusing on one.
No.
Yes.
That's just a call out on your balance. That's not a call out on how the game actually plays.
Tell me a character. Yes, it's unbalanced because
you play it unbalanced.
You can level up so quick.
You play it unbalanced.
No, I don't, because there's also so many different things where I can do blacksmithing, or I can do alchemy or enchanting that are actually very easy to level in that game. And if you choose to pay attention to that, then your ultimate level is going to outscale all of your level, like your combat effectiveness. So you're almost forced to go with one if you want to be really good. I don't like fucking with the difficulty, at the very least. So I mean, ultimately, I'm outscaled by the game when I want to like start really exploring, getting deep. Like, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not focused on like two different things, like I will be overrun by the game, and I can't do everything that I want to do in the game. So if I want to go out and explore like the hardest places in the game, I have to be focused on one thing. I have to let go of like my dual spec, if you will. Like I can't do destruction and dual wielding shit. Like I have to let one of those go in order to be able to face creatures that are my level, even though I'm not that high of a level. And that's kind of like where Skyrim might have the upper edge, though, because you have this ultimate free reign to do what you want. But that little regulation in the linearity of the storyline, like I might be unlocked on tech, but the whole biotic trees available to me as well as combat trees, and I can do whatever I want in the biotic tree. It's all kind of a little different, and it all has its own little twist, but I'm still very strong in the biotic tree, whereas I have this free reign to do whatever I want in Skyrim, but I might be outscaled. So the linearity that you're talking of, I think, is strong to keep the game where it should be, and that's my argument to that.
Okay, now I'll begin by talking about, or I'll start my segment on why I think that Skyrim is just not even close to being linear compared to Mass Effect, or maybe just really driving home some points here. I mean, like I said, you aren't forced to do anything in Skyrim. You can be whoever you want to be, do whatever you want to be, and the game still lives on. I mean, when I played Mass Effect, if you just goofed around, you couldn't really leave whatever planet you're on or whatever stage, quote unquote, you're on.
Are you talking Mass Effect or Mass Effect 3?
I'm talking Mass Effect.
Okay, that's also a huge difference.
But hey, we're talking about all three here, baby. You were talking about Morrowind. I get to talk about Mass Effect.
Right, but you haven't even addressed anything about Mass Effect 3.
I did earlier.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. See what I have to put up with here, people? Mm-hmm. So rude. Anyways.
Just distinguishing, that's all.
Yeah, okay. All right. You done over there? May I?
All ears, baby. I'm all ears.
May I continue? Okay. All right. Thank you. So, anyways, I totally lost my point. Where am I now?
Must have not been a strong point. Wacka.
What was I talking?
You were talking about linearity in Mass Effect and Morrowind.
Oh, right. Right. So in Elder Scrolls, in Skyrim in particular, like I said, you could be whatever you want. I should really link in the description below, but there was a guy who made like a 30-part episode of just being the most plain as Jane person you could be in Skyrim in hopes to become the richest person in Skyrim. And it was actually an incredibly entertaining series to watch. I mean, it was one of the first like LPs I think I've ever watched my entire life, and I thought it was hilarious, or at least enthralling.
That's subjective depth. He's giving the game depth himself. That doesn't.
But you can't do that in Mass Effect. You can't do that in Mass Effect.
In Mass Effect 3, you can really. I mean, yeah, I agree. You can't do that. But you have more free roam than I think you're giving it credit. Like, I can go to like big towns and talk to random civilians and stuff. I mean, I can't like
many games can do that.
Shit. But I mean, I agree. It's like a point A to point B thing when you're trying to complete a quest in a game. It's linear in that sense, but otherwise, besides the gameplay, I mean, Fable's the same way, but there's still there's depth to that game. I mean, but I would call Fable linear as opposed to Mass Effect 3. Or I would say it's more linear than Mass Effect 3, rather.
I mean,
but not to go off topic.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms, and I mean, the thing is, like, there's so many other games that you can compare Mass Effect to, because Mass Effect just pulls or copies. I'm gonna go with copies so many other games. I mean the Mac Daddy, the Mac Daddy of the RPGs, the one that
you think Mass Effect
is a copy.
It's copying. Do you know anything about like
one title,
like the races and
one title? I'm gonna give you one title right now, and I want you to spend 30 minutes after this discussion looking up this game. Knights of the Old Republic came out on Xbox, one of the best RPGs ever. And if you want to play an Xbox version of Mass Effect, that is your game. You go to different planets, you pick your own squad, you can choose people to live and die, and then whatever you do ultimately affects the end game. Wow, gee, let's rewind 20 minutes from now. What did we just talk about? Oh shit, we just talked about Mass Effect, but someone done did it first. Sorry, Mass Effect lost. Mass Effect just copied it and put some shiny graphics on. Wah, wah, wah.
Well, I've never played that game. But that doesn't detract Mass Effect from being a linear game. I mean, if you want to talk about like playstyles and copycats, yeah, maybe Mass Effect was very similar to Knights of the Old Republic. I've heard of it. I've seen it being played. But that doesn't mean that Skyrim beats it in 9 Days to Tuesday in terms of linearity. I mean, I think in terms of storylines and quest lines, Mass Effect has Skyrim beat. I think
you mean Elder Scrolls, right? Not just Skyrim.
Yeah, entirely. Like in terms of storylines, Mass Effect in a whole nutshell outweighs the entire Elder Scrolls series in terms of storyline. In terms of gameplay, I'm going to side with Elder Scrolls here. I'm going to say that Elder Scrolls definitely has more complexity to the overall gameplay, because you can do everything you want. Mass Effect, not so much. In terms of overall lore to it, I think they're parallel. But ultimately, if there's a game that has a higher replay value in terms of playing all three series because it's not linear, I'm gonna have to go with Mass Effect in its entirety, the entire trilogy. That's gonna be my last input.
Okay, and what I will say from an Elder Scrolls perspective is that I think Elder Scrolls has a much richer lore than what Mass Effect ever offered, at least to me.
I think it's more immersive. I think it's easier to immerse yourself into the lore of Elder Scrolls. I'll give you that.
Okay, I mean,
but I think Mass Effect is more rich.
Okay, in
terms of codexes and whatnot. But yeah, go on. I didn't even mention that shit. I just needed to throw it in there.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the codexes, folks.
Codex. Hold on, wait. Let me look up the last codex. Okay, we're good.
So. And so anyways, but, you also bring up, like, the story and everything like that. I mean, yeah, sure, Mass Effect maybe does a better job than Elder Scrolls with decision-making. Especially in Skyrim, there are big decisions you have to make. Some with the Dark Brotherhood, some with some of the other bigger quest lines. Does it have a huge ripple effect? No, it does not. So maybe Mass Effect has a beat there, but
maybe. Okay. Anyway, go on.
Maybe, yes, fine, whatever. If you want me to concede a point, I will concede that one to you. But, anyways, I think that's gonna wrap up both of our discussions, both of our sides. Guys, let us know whose argument you liked more, who you thought was more on point, and who you agree with or not. I mean, I think these can be two very polarizing games. So please share us your thoughts. If this is your first time watching a video, please hit that subscribe button. We are always down to bring you guys new and better content. Also hit the like button if you are so inclined and if you actually enjoyed our discussion. And as always, Luxbu.
Happy gaming, gamers.